and welcome to State of the Matters, where we break down issues shaping our nation. First, we'll begin with trending stories. Examination gone sour as gunmen adopt UTME candidates in Benue. Atiku says he will fix Nigeria's economy if he is elected as president. Akpabio links insecurity surge to 2027 politics. I am Cassie Tony and we'll be right back after this break. Don't move a muzzle. Joining us now to break down these headlines are political analysts. By my right is Dairo. Good to have you join us, Dairo.
Thank you very much for having me here. It's nice to be here again.
Thank you for joining us. A pleasure having you. And by my left is Ugochukwu Ifeanyichukwu. Good to have you join us, Ugochukwu. You're looking like you just landed from the moon.
Cassie, I'm set for the weekend. You know how we say it in Nigeria that thank God it's Friday.
Okay.
So I'm set for the weekend vibes. And Nigerians and the viewers around the world, you're welcome to the State of the Matters, where we dissect Nigeria and the political actors shaping our polity.
All right, thank you so much, Ugochukwu. So, Dairo, we'll start with you. The examination gone sour in Benue State. That was on Wednesday, April 14. On Wednesday, April 15, it was reported that gunmen adopted over 14 post-UTME candidates that were on their way to Orokpo community in Benue State to write their exam. And this incident happened around 5 p.m. and the vehicle that carried these victims is 18-seater bus, this Benue Link. And according to an eyewitness that reported this in scenario, the person said that this Benue Link, that the vehicle is the commissioner of police that actually reported that Benue Link is a company, is a transport company vehicle, and that as at the time this incident actually happened, the company has already closed. Yes, as at the time the incident happened, that the company has closed, meaning that the driver took this vehicle and he did illegal work, because it was not in the company's manifesto record that there was still a vehicle outside that was still on duty, because they had already closed as at the time this event happened. So in this event that happened, who should they hold responsible for this incident? Is it the driver or the company itself for their failure of not being accountable for their vehicles? Because before a company should close, at least they should take down records of vehicles that they have that has returned into the premises.
So basically, from what I even heard about the story, like they kidnapped all these children. The driver and one other person escaped. I don't know what to feel about that, because if with this information you just gave now, if the driver took the bus illegally after closing hours, and he's one of the only people that escaped, there is really something fishy going on there. There's really something fishy going on there. But it's even at the same time, how long will we still suffer insecurity in the country? I mean, these are children that are traveling to another town within the state just to go and write the exam the next day, because it's basically they are trying to go for their exam the next day, trying to get. So that, because you know that maybe probably they have
an early morning
exam, and they can't be coming from where they are staying because it will be so far and they might probably miss. So at the end of the day, it still boils down to insecurity, because there's nothing they can do to control their exam timetable. So they have to go late in the night, spend the time in the hotel, and then go early in the morning for their exam. Then why are we still having these insecurity issues even till now, even after everything that the president has promised the nation? And these are children, these are young children that are just trying to survive, trying to better their life through education. And even still, the country is not really helping. And to say, let's bring it back to the driver now, to say that the driver illegally, I don't want to say it's illegally took the bus after closing hours. Maybe because he took it trying to help these kids get to their
destination.
In time. But at the same time, why is he the only one? Or him and one other person were the only people that escaped? I think
there were like about 4 of them that actually escaped.
Okay, yeah. Well, I actually saw 2 people that escaped, but maybe there are a new development. So, but like he escaped. So what is it? What's up there? And that's the question we should be asking ourselves. And then the company, if the company says that this is the closing time, that should be the closing time, because yes, now transport companies close early. They don't close. There's no night. There shouldn't be night transportation during this period of time. And now this is election period. But getting closer to election period, things happen. Insecurity level rises. So like, I understand why the transport company closed, but they should also have documentation of every buses that leave their port. They should have documentation of every buses that leave their port. They should have security on ground too, to make sure, to check that no buses have been taken out by any of the drivers illegally or after closing hours.
All right, thank you so much, Dairo Ogochukwu. Let's hear your line of thought on this very quickly.
Cassie, is really laughable when something's happening in Nigeria and you're going to hear different stories. I'm not interested in the stories or whatever, because even the commissioner of transportation or the commissioner of police of Benue State that is coming out to put a disclaimer or trying to put an excuse, it is really shameful for a law officer or a security officer who should have swung into action the way they put it in Nigeria. You know, by now, he should be sending his men to look for the adopters. But at the end of the day, you find out that they will even aid, you know, the smooth payment of ransom. At the end of the day, you hear we have rescued them. But what baffles me in these rescue operations that happen in Nigeria, no casualty on the part of the person who has spent logistics, who has spent money to plan an attack, and already have his prey within his confines. You know, the target is with the person that planned the attack, and Nigerian security agents are going for rescue, and there's no casualty. You know, most times I did a research on security, and I find out how it works. If you see that kind of rescue mission, you know that a lot of things has gone under the waters. So, but for the state transport company to say that none of their vehicles leaves the terminal or should be outside the terminal at that time, I disagree. Because I have been on to some terminals where by that time, what they will say is that we are no longer loading at the base. We cannot allow passengers to load, to take off from our base at that particular time. What about the vehicles that are already, maybe they normally close by 4 or 4:30, but by 3:30, some vehicles are still on their way and have not gotten to their destination. So what are they talking about? So when you juxtapose the kind of information and statements that are being turned out from those who you think should know, they take Nigerians, now they have exonerated themselves. They don't have all the blame is on the driver. You understand? And you know that most of those state-owned transport companies, individuals also come to register with them. It is not only the state that acquire those buses. So you are talking about lives of children that the only crime they committed is they have torn the line of education, trying to better their future. And their parents, you know, trying for their children to be better than themselves. Then when you talk about JAMB, by now, I wouldn't know if I would call myself a pundit or a prophet. Yesterday, I was discussing with someone, because I never knew JAMB has started. Maybe I've been in the oblivion in Nigeria. So yesterday I saw people around. Somebody was in the same vehicle with me. They were going to, you said they were, that the driver should hasten up. They are going for JAMB. I was amazed. We now pass some designated CBT centers, and you see parents. You see, I even thank one of the centers I saw because they provided shelter by mountain canopies. You see parents, you see students, or candidates causing nuisance on the road in the name of examination. Cassie, in this country, 2019, I wrote exams here from my school abroad when I was in Nigeria. There is no way you can manipulate it because there are softwares to dictate if he had cheated in an exam. One of my cousins, before I even left the shores of Nigeria, was saying in Denmark, when Ugochukwu comes back, he writes his exam in January. Why in Nigeria? He will leave the village, go to Owerri, and get an internet-enabled facility and write his exams. So JAMB have done this CBT designated centers for a long time that we should have, improved on it. By now, some people will be, once you have an internet-enabled device, you can write your exam seamlessly. That is why Nigeria is the only, country that has a lot of money that they throw around and people thief the money. That you will see on election day, there will be no movement. Even when they are doing, what do you call it, sanitation, no movement, as if it is the loss of manpower hours is what is keeping our economy what it is today. So JAMB should do more. The Federal Minister of Education should do more. And again, if they want to, if need be, let them scrap this JAMB because I'm not seeing any need. Some of us that studied abroad, we did not write JAMB. Once you meet the academic qualification, I wrote WAEC in Nigeria, and I got my tertiary institution admission abroad, and I did not write JAMB. Once you meet the national standard of qualification, they admit you. So, and here in Nigeria, after writing JAMB, you will write post-UMT. All these monies are. JAMB was not set up to make money for the federal government. But you know how much Ojerinde remits to federal government at the end of the year.
All right, thank you so much.
Into billions of naira that they have become a money-making industry. But it should be there for a sector that is aiding education. So there is a lot for the federal government to review. I am happy that this thing happened because the government and the military should have known that this examination time, those students or those candidates are soft targets for those bandits and those who are in the habit of kidnapping. And now it is no longer in whether the Commissioner of Police in Benue State is disclaiming or whatever. All we know is that it is the federal government that should go for the adopted children, and they should liaise with the state government. For them to be saying is fault of the transportation company or whether the driver escaped or whatnot, it is not our business. The federal government should make sure that these children are ready because they are under the purview of the federal government.
Moving away from that to the next development, Atiku Abubakar was interviewed at a TV station where in one of his speech he made mention that if he's elected as a Nigerian president, he's going to fix Nigeria economy. Now the question is, as a one-time vice president, what has been his impact? And this problem that he wants to fix, this Nigerian economy that he wants to fix, has he recognized any of those problems that he wants to fix? Ugochukwu, let's hear from you.
Atiku Abubakar, the former vice president of Nigeria, has been in the corridors of power even before I was born. And he has been a serial, contestant of the Nigerian presidency. Aside 1999, when he ventured into the governorship seat of Adamawa State, where he won convincingly, before the narrative changed, before his swearing in, he was now picked by Olusegun Obasanjo to be his vice president because they were trying to balance the They were trying to balance the political bloc, those that came together to form PDP of then, because he's of the Musa Yar'Adua bloc. So Atiku has been around. And I would want to excuse Atiku because he might have had his plans cut out. But going by the trajectory of what you have seen other presidents do, you know, there was a time when Buhari was contesting, he said that he was the most prepared.
Yeah.
He was the most prepared, not qualified though, that he already knew the problem of Nigeria. So it's just for him to command, but it took him 6 months to make his first ministerial appointments. We thought he would bring people from the moon.
From the moon, yeah.
And at the end of the day, it was still the recycling of the old guard that we saw. And during his time, insecurity got heightened, and Nigeria became the appointment by nepotism, and the fragmentation of Nigeria became very visible.
So Atiku, has he recognized this problem?
Atiku, that is what I'm saying, that I will excuse Atiku because he has been around for a long time.
Okay.
But I now say it again, going by those, even Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who told us that the problems of Nigeria is as his fingertips. We have seen him struggle into his third year in office without visible visibly fixing the Nigerian problem.
You know, Tinubu said he's Buhari.
Okay, that
Buhari,
that he took over from himself. That Buhari was a partner. That means he didn't guide his partner well, because if he is the person who Buhari was representing, Buhari should have played his script. So if Buhari did not play his script, why did he leave Buhari there? But on Atiku, who had the opportunity of heading the first privatization committee in Nigeria, that Olusegun Obasanjo gave him that space, who coordinated the economy. But what did he end up? Atiku ended up, ceding Nigerian, infrastructure, to himself. And today, Dangote is even better. Dangote, we can see, if not for Dangote, Nigerians might be buying petrol fuel at 2,000 naira. But Dangote has saved a lot of Nigerians today, even the face of the government. Because if Nigerians are buying PMS at the rate of 2,000, even Tinubu will not be sitting on that seat. But if Atiku had bettered the lot of those Nigerian infrastructures that he pushed to himself, like those in the telecommunication and power sector, Nigeria would have not been crying today. But it seems that Atiku always push whatever his business empire in Dubai, because that seems to be his maternal home. If not that the elections are very close, Atiku will not be in Nigeria. So Atiku, is he planning to revolutionize Nigeria and develop us like Dubai? Maybe it's within his in his mind. But all I know is that Atiku is just looking for something to say to Nigerians in order to smoothen his electioneering fortunes.
All right, thank you so much, Ugochukwu, for that analysis. Over to you, Dairo. We know that Atiku is a very successful businessman, and he also is influential. He's somebody that commands power, and anywhere he goes, he's being recognized as a one-time vice president. So does he have to wait till he becomes president before fixing Nigerian economy? Shouldn't he have done something? Okay, let Nigerians see that, oh, he has tried, and then maybe to motivate Nigerians to actually vote for him. Does he have to wait until he gets into power before doing these things?
Yeah, like my co-host Mr. Ugochukwu has said, when we look at the case of Dangote, we see how Dangote has helped Nigerians. Like the example he gave, even not for Dangote, fuel will be over 2,000 naira.
Okay.
And you know that even as now, the government is selling fuel per barrel, oil per barrel to Dangote at the same price they are selling outside. So it's more like Dangote, I don't even know, I think he is even more experiencing more of a loss than even a profit, the way he's selling fuel at even a minimal price to us. So Dangote is taking it on, and he's not even a politician, he's not in a place of politics. compared to Atiku that is in a place of politics and is also a businessman, like one of the richest men in the country. We've not really seen his hand in helping the masses. And Tinubu even said it in his speech yesterday, condemning, although I do not support a lot of things that Tinubu said, but he was saying that during Atiku's time as the vice president, during when he did the privatization of the economy, he sold most of the assets
to himself
and his associates.
And his cronies.
So he's basically a businessman for himself. He doesn't really care about Nigerians. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. And then this is going to be like my last question for you. So if Atiku is talking about fixing Nigeria's economy, we've seen where the federal government have graduated repentant bandits in over 744 local governments. Now, how does he intend to tackle this repentant Boko Haram issues? I mean, when you tag bandits, Boko Haram's insurgencies as repentant Boko Haram, you send them out to the societies, and when you send them out, how are we sure that our safety? How are we sure of our safety? Because these are people that have been involved in killings and the rest. So how does he intend to tackle this repentant Boko Haram if peradventure he's been elected as Nigerian president come 2027?
You see, concerning this repentant Boko Haram, it's still a funny case because these are people that have committed so many atrocities and they took them into rehabilitation camps. And then they are now releasing them that they have changed into the society. People like Nnamdi Kanu,
that's not even done anything.
He's still in prison, and they give him life imprisonment. So there is what kind of misplaced priorities is that? Where?
I like that English, misplaced priorities.
Exactly. So where does the government stand? Where does the government draw a line where they say, okay, this is terrorism and this is public rights freedom fighter? Because in my own eyes, Kanu is a freedom fighter. These people that they are releasing into society, they are basically just terrorists. Straight up terrorists. And now you are not releasing them back into society to do what?
To continue terrorizing.
To continue to terrorize the people. And now Atiku, that is also from the north, and like I said, not a businessman, not really concerned about the welfare of the masses. What does he think he can do to combat these terrorists that are basically from the north? I'm not trying to segregate any tribe here, but we all know that these terrorists are from the north. Atiku is also from the north. He's a businessman that we have seen the receipts. He always works in favor of himself and what he can gain. So how does he want to settle? How does he want to combat this terrorism? It's a question that is in all of our minds. Which we know that he can't even win the election because he has tried for how many times now?
And he keeps failing.
Back to back. That is why Tinubu called him out yesterday and jokingly that he keeps failing.
And keep failing.
He even called Jonathan's. Imagine him saying Jonathan was an inexperienced president. Even when during his era, the economy was not bad, but there was high level insecurity too. But at the same time, Atiku is not someone that should be our president. He's not. I don't think he's capable enough to even combat economic hardship. Talk more of insecurity.
All right, thank you, Dairo. Ugochukwu, very quickly, let's hear your own opinion on this.
You know, Nigeria is a country full of drama. You know, there is always a drama. When they say the state is the newsmakers, so we sit down here to talk about them because, when they feel that we are not doing anything, they just throw the bone out. Repentant Boko Haram or repentant bandits, all these are terrorists. They have killed. Terrorists are in segments. There are those who are the informants, there are those who go for the logistics, and there are the foot soldiers, those who carry out the attack. But all of them combined together make up the set that operates. And the question will be, Atiku Abubakar, who has been around for a while, and who have seen the level of insecurity. And he said that his political voting base is the North. And I now asked him in one of the forums, I said, Atiku, how many votes have you garnered from the northern states when you have been contesting? Because we know that the late Buhari was getting most of the votes in the north, and people followed him like those Buhari had what they call a court followership, just like the Kwankwaso of this world. So Atiku is coming to solve which problem? The North. Recall that when Deborah, there was a lady that was killed in the North, Atiku quickly posted something. And when they threatened him, when the Muslims threatened him, he put down that post. Is that the kind of person who is coming to solve a problem? Somebody that does have a mind of his own, cannot stand on what. So these are some of the questions we should be asking these people. They think that we develop amnesia, we are not students of history at all. That Atiku is sitting because he was granted the opportunity to come and speak. Have we seen Atiku gone to a television station before to speak? Atiku is like a demigod in politics. But because he is looking for something, he only went there to talk about the ticket and how the zoning formula, that he disposed of the zoning formula. But he is among those that oppose the rotational presidency. He's among those that oppose the rotational presidency. So if Atiku is telling me that he is going to fix the Nigerian state if elected, is it insecurity that we saw Buhari become very biased and very sectional when he was the president, and not to talk of Atiku, who could quickly tweet that the killing of Deborah was wrong? Immediately the Muslim youth reacted, he quickly put it down. And till today, he has not said anything about it. Is that the kind of person you can entrust the economy and the security of a country, who will become our C in C? And Atiku, from the grapevine news that we heard, that he is among the people that imports the highest number of degenerator in Nigeria.
And Atiku is not capable of solving the Nigerian economy if he's elected as president.
Not only economy, he cannot do that he cannot fix the Nigerian problem, not only economy.
Thank you. So we'll move over to the next topic on our plate. Akpabio links insecurity surge to 2027 politics. I'll start with you, Dairo. You know, Akpabio, in his statement, he said they should give President Bola Ahmed Tinubu 2 weeks after he's been re-elected as a president, that he's going to solve insecurity. And I'm like, how is he going to do that under 2 weeks if he has been sitting on the throne for 4 years and is incapable of solving insecurity? So how will he miraculously do that in just 2 weeks?
That's not possible.
Yeah.
Although I would say that there's this statement Sani Abacha made one time, that if there's an insurgency in the state, in the country, and it lasts for like 24 hours, the government is aware about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, I would say there will be actually some people in power that are aware and are even in cahoots with these terrorists. Yeah, but I would say it's all of them that are in power. But Akpabio's statement, saying that what is he trying to tell us, that Tinubu should become the president again?
Yeah.
Is he trying to campaign for us? If he's trying to campaign for us,
he's campaigning already, not trying.
That makes no sense, because for 4 years we've seen back-to-back killings, back-to-back deaths. Insecurity has been so high that this is the highest amount of insecurity in the nation, in which every day we wake up, we read the news, is another new case. Every day we wake up, we read the news, is another new case. We have become desensitized. Now when we see it or we hear it, it's just like this. Something.
How many people were killed?
Regular news. Meanwhile, even during Jonathan's time, we will hear the case of killings or terrorist activities. We'll be like, oh, why did this happen? Where is the government? But now people are really desensitized, like this is like a normal thing. So is that the kind of government that he wants back in the, is that the kind of person that he wants back in the place of power? No.
All right, thank you, Dairo. Ugochukwu, in his statement, he mentioned that bandits are being sponsored and that they are also politically motivated. He said it's because the election is around the corner, and so they are trying to use it to cause chaos and then distract the president. So the question is, who is the sponsor? And for what reason? Why are they sponsoring bandits? And why are they trying to use these bandits as a distraction to 2027 election?
You know, Cassie, Nigeria is the definition of what Shakespeare said about the world. He said the world is a stage where all men has come to play a part. So Nigeria is that kind of stage where anybody comes up to say whatever he likes and goes away with it. Okay. If Nigeria is a constitutionally guided state, I don't think that Akpabio will be sitting as a Senate president as I speak with you now. But because everything is politics, that for me, that statement was uncalled for. It was unguarded, it was very callous and senseless, if you ask me. Because Akpabio seems to be catching cruise with everything that is happening in Nigeria, but that is the height of it. To use insecurity as a joke, like Akpabio should have been picked up and will be answering some questions by the Nigerian intelligence agencies, because one, he has exposed himself to tell us that he knows those that are sponsoring the bandits, and he knows those that are sponsoring the attacks. Because if he doesn't know, how is it that he did not even say alleged? He didn't use the word alleged. He was very direct.
Very specific.
But if you go by the turn of events we have seen in Nigeria, even during the Jonathan time, Jonathan also said that politicians are sponsoring the insecurity during his tenure, and that his cabinet had been infiltrated. You know, then during the Buhari's time also, we had the same line of thought. So Akpabio might not be overly wrong from what he has said, because this has been like a tradition. When we are getting close to an electioneering period, we have heightened insecurity. But Cassie, you know what will solve this kind of thing is what I want to lecture Atiku, if he eventually comes, or any president. Most of those mineral resources that we have that has a lot of monetary value, that they don't factor it into the monies that Nigeria share at the FAC. Like the Californium, gold is not factored, but some people are pocketing the money. People are mining gold in Nigeria, selling them in commercial quantity, but Nigerians are not getting any benefit for it. That is why they kill themselves. When you talk about Boko Haram, you talk about banditry, you talk about what? People are fighting for resources. And those resources are not for the benefit of Nigerians. But the politically exposed persons, they know what is going on in Nigeria. So if Akpabio is talking about the heightening of insecurity and say that it will go down in 2 weeks, I don't even dispute him, because immediately 2027 elections is done and dusted. You will keep for what? Because all those things that they are doing is to discredit either the governor of the state, to blackmail them, or to discredit the president of the country, to blackmail him, or like our president said, he's not scared, nobody can intimidate him. They know all those things, and they are all involved in it. So, but for Akpabio to have come in the open to say there are some certain statements you don't make, you don't make in the open, then the question will be, how has he been liaising with Mr. President to solve this problem? Then during Jonathan's regime, Jonathan suspended the election for three weeks. Okay, in order to...
Before you go further, you said there are some statements that he's not supposed to even make in public. In one of his speech at the NRS headquarters inauguration, he talked about the alleged X account post that was linked to INEC's chairman reply on his tweet, where he said victory is sure although Amupitan came up and said that it is manipulated, that post was actually manipulated, and then Akpabio said that the victory is sure, that Amupitan was not specific. He didn't mention, oh, victory is sure for APC or is sure for PDP. That he was just being a neutral Nigerian. And then perhaps, he said perhaps, even if he's manipulated, he doesn't care.
You see, Cassie, you recall that when Amupitan was being screened on the floor of the Senate, this same Akpabio prevented Amupitan from answering a very vital question that was asked by distinguished Senator Saraki Dixon, when they accused him that he was among the legal team of Mr. President. I don't know if you recall that. So that is where the people also, brought that allegation that he made that tweet. It was the same Akpabio that shot it down from people. He said that they shouldn't ask such question, and he never allowed Amupitan to answer that question. So what I'm saying in event of this is that he himself, who is the number 3 citizen, who was there during Jonathan, and saw how Jonathan, pushed the election forward for 3 weeks in order to push back insurgency. What will he be? How will he tell Mr. President to wait? We are just in April, so Nigerians has to die in May, die in June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, before he will now proffer a solution for Mr. President, who is the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, to save the lives of Nigerians. Is that what Akpabio is saying? For me, that was why I used the word that his statement was unguarded. Because now that Jonathan, you people called clueless and a woman on seat, was able to say, okay, let this election wait. Let us push back insurgents so that people may be able to vote. And you still have the window of opportunities to nip what is happening in the board. Is your duty as a ruling party to allow the opposition to orchestrate insecurity in the country in order for you to, well, if it's in the country that votes count. I think this is Nigerians can choose their fate. All
right, thank you so much, Ugochukwu. This is where we'll leave it for Nigerians to engage in the comment section. Many thanks, Ugochukwu, for joining us.
Happy weekend, Cassie. You can go to any of the shopping malls, but while you go there, make sure you go with your credit card before I come, so that pick anything you want. All
right, thank you so much, Dairo, for joining us.
Thank you for having me here, Cassie.
So where do you want me to go this weekend?
Anywhere you want to go.
Anywhere I want to go.
Like you said, you can go to parties. It's your choice.
All right, thank you, Dairo. And to you, our amazing viewers, for tuning in. I am Cassie Tony, reminding you to stay informed and build a better society. Do well to join us next time for more breaking news. I am Cassie Tony, and do have a lovely weekend.